What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy, back at you with some Bible reading. So, today's chapter is going to be Genesis 33. We are in the midst of Jacob trying to appease Esau after, going back home and realizing that Esau still does not have the greatest view of him, or so it would seem. And then there was a wrestling match with God somewhere in there. But anyway. So. Chapter's not too long, but I don't feel like I need to give too much more context for it. So, here we go. Genesis 33. Verse 1. Then Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and his 2 servant wives. He put the servant wives and their children at the front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then Jacob went on ahead. As he approached his brother, he bowed to the ground 7 times before him. Then Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him, and they both wept. Maybe not quite the greeting that Jacob was expecting there, but also I wonder if he started thinking right then that, oh hey, so maybe my appeasement plan kind of worked. So he apparently decided to approach Esau first before Esau could even get to his children and his wives and their servants. I don't know if, I kind of almost wish there was more detail on that. Was the idea to, line them up in such a way as to give them, a better chance of escape? Kind of going by, his most liked wife and child at the back, so they would have the best chance? I don't know, but in any case, I'm pretty sure the lineup like that was, with bad possibilities in mind. But anyway, those did not happen. They like bros do, I guess, they hugged it out. Anyway, verse 5. Then Esau looked at the women and children and asked, "Who are these people with you?" "These are the children God has graciously given to me, your servant," Jacob replied. Then the servant wives came forward with their children and bowed before him. Next came Leah with her children, and they bowed before him. Finally, Joseph and Rachel came forward and bowed before him. So, anyway, it's obviously, since the servant wives and their children were placed the closest to Esau's location, they would have been the first to see that, hey, everything's okay. We can approach now. And then they just kind of followed in line after that. I'm also, was Joseph really the only child that Rachel had? I'm not quite remembering that correctly. I mean, maybe that would explain some things later on that I might get into when that time comes. But anyway, all right, let's move along. Verse 8. "And what were all the flocks and herds I met as I came?" Esau asked. Jacob replied, "They are a gift, my lord, to ensure your friendship." "My brother, I have plenty," Esau answered. "Keep what you have for yourself." Okay, so, as expected, with his ability to assemble 400 men to go meet Jacob, Esau's doing pretty well for himself too. But anyway, verse 10. But Jacob insisted, "No, if I have found favor with you, please accept this gift from me. And what a relief to see your friendly smile. It is like seeing the face of God. Please take this gift I have brought you, for God has been very gracious to me. I have more than enough." And because Jacob insisted, Esau finally accepted the gift. "Well," Esau said, "let's be going. I will lead the way." Okay, so they're both pretty well off, but Jacob's like, "No, for real. I need you to accept this gift from me. Like, if we're really in good standing, just accept this." Almost with a hint of like, it'll make me feel better if you do. So almost like, it would have given him a better indication that they were on good terms or something. I don't know. So after Esau said, "Let's get going." Verse 13. But Jacob replied, "You can see, my lord, that some of the children are very young, and the flocks and herds have their young too. If they are driven too hard, even for one day, all the animals could die. Please, my lord, go ahead of your servant. We will follow slowly at a pace that is comfortable for the livestock and the children. I will meet you at Seir." Okay. So Esau's still going out in front, but rather than, it being a, like, caravan-esque situation, Jacob's like, I don't want to push my people and my animals too hard. You can go ahead, and I'll just meet you at this place. Verse 15. "All right," Esau said, "but at least let me assign some of my men to guide and protect you." Jacob responded, "That's not necessary. It's enough that you've received me warmly, my lord." I'd still get kind of a hint of Jacob trying to smooth things over with Esau from this. But, I mean, that's just kind of the vibe I get. That's not necessarily me saying that's for sure what's going on here. Jacob, I mean, part of the reason he wanted to go back home was to be able to provide for his family better than he could, with his uncle Laban. So I guess this might kind of be part of that provider mentality that Jacob wants to be the one to kind of handle things himself and be able to, take care of the situation for his family. Anyway, verse 16. "So Esau turned around and started back to Seir that same day. Jacob, on the other hand, traveled on to Succoth. There he built himself a house and made shelters for his livestock. This is why the place was named Succoth, which means shelters." Okay. I don't know why Jacob exactly traveled there instead, because, like, Jacob was saying to Esau, "Meet me here." I don't know about you, but if I'm expecting to meet someone at a place and it takes quite a bit longer than expected, I get concerned. But when it says he traveled on to Succoth, it's this is one of those times when I wish I had sort of a map in front of me that, like, I could possibly see where Sukkoth would be in relation to Seir. Because, like, it would make some sense, though, if Sukkoth was beyond Seir and Jacob kind of checked in with Esau along the way and was just like, okay, I'm going to go up here and this is where I'm going to try to, make my living. I don't know. Anyway, verse 18. Later, having traveled all the way to Paddan Aram, Jacob arrived safely at the town of Shechem in the land of Canaan. There he set up camp outside the town. Jacob bought the plot of land where he camped from the family of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver. And there he built an altar and named it El Elohe Israel. Okay, so the 100 pieces of silver, says in Hebrew, 100, I'm not totally sure about the pronunciation, kasitas? Anyway, the value or weight of one of those is no longer known. So it's just some particular piece of silver that they're not really quite sure what the value of it was. A lot of times, with the translations of the Bible, they try to, include as many details of that nature as possible so that you can understand, like how much was paid in certain situations or, different things like that. Anyway, also, second note on the El Elohe Israel means God, the God of Israel. Okay. I mean, kind of knew from previous verses and such that, El is translated as God. Although it seems a bit repetitive using God in that twice, but for other people who would possibly come across it later, I don't know. You would think the first L would be unnecessary, but whatever. Not a big deal, I guess. So, that is that. Jacob has finally made it back home. And we'll see what happens from there. But he did end up buying some land. Hopefully it turns out well, but we'll see where that goes. And that's actually the end of the chapter. Kind of a short one. But hey, you know what? I do not have a problem with that. So, yeah, I guess now that the traveling part is done, we'll see what other events come for Jacob. Because I assume it's, as the Bible has done so far, when having a particular person that's been the focus of things for a while, I assume Jacob is going to remain the primary focus until he dies and or it's kind of made clear otherwise. So anyway, yeah. That's really it for this time. So, as usual, like if you enjoyed, share it with others if you want them to see. Subscribe and click the bell to get updates when I post new videos. Or at least hit the subscribe button, because, little YouTube trick to beat the ever-loathed algorithm, if you just go into your subscription feed, you can find the videos from the channels you've subscribed to. Or just keep coming back to the channel, either way. But if you subscribe, it'll show up on, your list of channels. So it would be a lot harder to lose track of my future videos and things like that if you're interested. Anyway, enough rambling on about that. Look down in the description to see info on other social media pages and how to find and follow those. And of course, leave your comments down below all that with any thoughts that you have. So yeah, that's it for now. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I will see you for the next one. But until then, stay cool, people.